Janine is a master facilitator for Urban Zen mindfulness and movement in schools. Janine is also a certified trauma response trainer with the Columbus Public Health Care Coalition, offering support to a variety of local community organizations, schools, and businesses. She's also a licensed contractor in restorative practices and facilitating restorative conferences for the International Institute of Restorative Practices. She also holds a master's degree in restorative practices. In addition, Janine is a co-founder of Honest Dialogues, a community offering dedicated to building relationships that create the opportunity for dialogue and community growth about equity, social justice through open discussion on the impact of systems of oppression, race, and racism. Her commitment to relationships is fostered in her close connection to the natural world, which informs and supports her work in human dynamics. Janine lives with her partner of 34 years, faithful dog, and several hives of honeybees. And I just want to add that the CCS Staff Wellness Initiative has a very long-standing partnership with Janine through the Urban Zen classes that she has taught throughout the years and across the district. We've been offering Urban Zen classes online over the past 2 years, and these classes are available to anyone in the district to participate. And Urban Zen focuses on incorporating self-care into your daily routine. In Urban Zen classes, you'll be guided through mindful movements, restorative postures, observe your breathing, and bring awareness to how you're feeling in your body. These classes are designed to help you learn ways to manage anxiety, exhaustion, stress, and pain that you might be experiencing. The overall goal is to relax and feel better. And what I love about Urban Zen is that it's a quick 30-minute class over Zoom, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Staff who have participated in Urban Zen classes over the years have shared that no matter how tired they feel after working a long day, Urban Zen is such a nice treat that actually helps them feel more energized and less anxious to help them continue on with their evening. And you can find the Urban Zen class schedule and the classes that Janine teaches. She teaches on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and the Zoom links to access her classes on our wellness website under the Current Wellness Programs tab. And now I will go ahead and turn it over to our presenter, Janine. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Smita. So glad to have you with us. And Smita will be checking on the chat. So thank you for all that and the support that you're giving us. And thank you for that introduction. Welcome to all of you. I'm so glad you're here. And some of you seem familiar to me. So maybe you're a returning participant. And we are excited to get started today. So to get started, as Smita said, we are going to be doing a variety of things around healthy relationships and developing healthy relationships. I don't know about you, but I didn't get much training in my life around healthy relationships. And so this is to support all of us to really understand our bodies and understand how we operate in the world. And with all of the challenges that we've had over the last 2 years, I think we can all use a little bit of support. I know I can. So really, really glad you're here. All right, so I'd love to start off, if I can get this all working the right way. I would love to start off with just hearing from you in the chat. And it also helps with just knowing that you're here. If you can drop in, if it's accessible to you, drop in, share one thing you're looking forward to right now. Maybe that's about spring or the weather, but share one thing that's up for you that you're looking forward to. So anything that would be in the near future, and I'll have Smita help me see those and maybe even share out a few of them that you can share. And welcome to you. If I didn't say your name, welcome Cookie and Tanya. And I would love to hopefully hear your voice over this time that we'll be together. And again, if you can change your name on your device, that will be really helpful so that we're acknowledging who you are. Sabrina, Michelle, Desiree, Alicia. And if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I would love and welcome you to unmute and let me know. Excellent. And if you can, make sure you put in your one direct message to me was they're looking forward to their wedding anniversary next month, their 49th wedding anniversary. That's amazing. Congratulations. And engagement parties and all kinds of vacations, spring break, warm weather. Yes, yes, yes. Spring. Oh, for sure. I love it. And yes, welcome to all of you, anyone joining us. Excellent. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, let's get started. So for today, and I'll let Smita feel free to jump in if anything appears in the chat that you'd like to share out. So for today, our agenda, we're going to do a bit of a mindfulness moment like we've done in the past. We're going to talk a little bit about what really healthy relationships sound like, look like, and feel like. And maybe some of you are familiar with the hand brain, the hand model of the brain. And so we'll do that together and watch a short video. And then we'll practice a skill around reflect, honor, and connect. It's another way of really practicing active listening together. And we'll have a checkout circle and we'll be out of here at the top of the hour. So again, welcome to all of you coming in. All right, so I am going to invite you, and if you'd like to be off camera for this or on, either way, anytime, please remain in choice about how you are handling your on or off camera. And find a comfortable seat. Feet, if possible, on the floor. If you're in the car, or just feel your feet in your shoes or anywhere you are. Notice if your feet are in shoes or out of shoes, and settle into your seat. Notice the weight of your hips in the chair. And bring your attention to just if you could have the eyes off the screen or down for a moment, and maybe have the devices off, and bring your attention to yourself for just 2 to 3 minutes. Notice the weight of your hips in the chair. And feel how your arms are resting on your body or maybe on the chair. Notice if your back is touching the chair or it has support behind it or not. Notice your shoulders and sense any amount of relaxation or softness here. Bring your attention to the air coming in and out of your nose. Just notice that inhale and exhale. Maybe this is the first time you've slowed down. So really bringing your attention to that airflow in the nose and out. Sensing your feet on the floor or your body touching the chair. Notice the movement of your breath and your chest and belly. And begin to notice the sounds in your space, and then the light in your room and in the space that you're in. And as we prepare to come back together, maybe feeling it would feel good to you to roll the shoulders up, back, and down a couple of times. And possibly reaching overhead and stretching to one side and the other. And rotate the head and neck from one side to the other. And just checking in with how you're arriving and how you're feeling today. Noticing what's here. And do any last movements that would feel good to you. Nice big inhale. And exhale through the mouth. Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that with me. Really appreciate you. And anytime throughout our session, if you need to return to your sense to the physical sensations of your body, maybe just settle at any time, please do so. There are lots of tools that we'll go through. All right. So some of our learning objectives for today, hopefully a bit of self-care throughout these communication skills. So offering you a little bit of support, mindfulness tools, and support through relationship building, because I believe that in my life, the more my relationships are at ease and I'm able to sort through conflict and actually work through rupture and repair, it's so helpful to me. I feel more at ease in my body and I'm not, constantly tense or having issues. I don't know about you, but it's a lot more helpful when I can have open communication and really practice things like active listening and noticing how I'm building healthy relationships. So we'll also talk a little bit about the hand brain, as I talked about before, and the biology of dysregulation. So some of you probably are really noticing a lot of dysregulation. Maybe it's in fellow teachers, maybe it's in fellow colleagues, parents, community, students. So this is all hopefully things that you can use to support you in your work, support you in your family life. I love this quote and wanted to just offer it to you. I'll let you have a chance to read that. Bell Hooks just died recently. I've worked with conflict resolution for a really long time in my life, and this resonates for me as something I want to continue to remember, that we're all human and we're doing the best that we can. So that's how it resonates for me. Maybe it touches you in some way. So I'd love to jump into safe, excuse me, a discussion about healthy, safe relationships. So often in the work I do, we talk about what do healthy and appropriate relationships look like? What do they sound like and feel like? So we'd love to engage here with anybody that can either raise your hand and unmute or unmute and share with us. And you could also type in the chat and we'll share that out. What do healthy, when you think of someone that you really respect, that you have ease in your relationship, that you connect with, or have a solid foundation of a relationship with, what does that relationship look like? What are some of the key elements of that relationship? And what does it, if you were looking at that relationship, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What are some of the things that you would think about sharing that are things that, how would you speak to each other, for instance, or what would be in that? What would it sound like? What would it feel like to you? So anything that you'd like to share, we'd love to invite you to share out. Laughter, safe to trust and speak and feel. Need to cry or vent or have fun, they're always there. So reliable, respectful disagreements. Love it. I love hearing all these. And anybody that feel free to unmute if you'd like to share out. Makes you feel heard and seen and valued. Honest dialogue, good communication, safe space to talk about anything. Respect, that's coming up a lot. Yeah, but go ahead.
Hey, I would say trust, respect, and a spiritual relationship.
Thank you. Thank you. Lots of honesty and respect coming up, compromise, good communication, safe space to talk about anything. Love it. Anyone else want to unmute and share your voice? Love to hear it. Anyone at all? Yeah, Maria?
I'm Maria, that I wasn't speaking, someone else is trying to speak.
Okay, all right, you were unmuted, so I didn't know if you were trying to speak.
Maria, you can go ahead and speak first.
I wasn't going to speak.
Okay.
I was just going to say, just being around that person, that person's personality, just being in the presence of somebody that's more calm and somebody you love to be around, talk to, just really, I guess you can really feel the vibe of the other person.
Oh, I love that.
The other thing is just respect, but just that personality feel.
Thank you. I think that's Stanley, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So thank you for all of those. A few more that I want to share and offer to you. I love all that you shared, so much in common on how the energy, the trust, the felt sense of each other. And I want to just add, I think all of these you guys have mentioned already, but they take time, they take energy and commitment. So it's our commitment to each other to keep coming back, to trusting and to really going and being there for someone. They include honest or healthy and safe relationships, include relationships with lots and lots of people. So we have different groups of people and different communities of people that we run and want to have strong relationships with. So, and that takes a lot of commitment and time. They are improved by trust. They're supported with honesty and vulnerability, which many of you mentioned. They grow with our curiosity for each other. And they thrive when we care for ourselves with clear boundaries. And that's difficult. I think that training in boundaries is really challenging. And I know that I didn't receive that. But the ability to say yes when I mean yes and no when I mean no, to really set some clear boundaries around what I can do and maybe what I need to put off or can't do right this moment, and to ask for support. So some of those things are really, concrete ways of setting and acknowledging boundaries. So the next group of slides I want to move to are all about the biological responses that we have to everyday life challenges. So often, I don't know about you, but in my relationships, I've had moments where I have either had a really strong emotion happen or a strong reaction to something, or other people have had a strong reaction to something, as well as people and students that I've been with. And it's really confusing sometimes of how to deal with that. So what this, hopefully this part of our time together speaks to, the biological response of our brains and what's happening in there. So hopefully this will give us a little bit of insight. And I'm going to start with Mary Vicario. She is a mentor of mine and has been doing the training for all of my trauma training. So I'm going to switch my audio first. And I'm going to run this video.
Hi, I'm Mary Vicario, and it's been my joy to be a part of the Resilience Project for the last 5 years. Today, I get to talk to you about the hand brain, and I love it so much because it allows me to bring a model of the brain with me wherever I go. And I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands. So it's just a win-win all around for me. Feel free to do this with me. Between your wrist and your elbow is your spinal column and something really important called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve actually releases all of our feelings into every organ of our body. So literally, we feel our feelings in every organ of our body, and we don't get to decide when that happens. It just does it. So in fact, those feelings are the feelings that frequently drive our behavior, especially if it's something we do very quickly, or if it's something that gets us in trouble, or the things that bring the people we serve to us for help often come from those feelings they get in their body, not in It's the palm of our hand, and it's in charge of all the things we don't think about, all the things that keep our body going that we don't think about. For example, breathing, digestion, bladder and bowel control, which means that's not under your conscious control sometimes, arousal, the type of arousal that hopefully has you awake right now while you're watching this video, and the type of arousal that makes you want to do things far more interesting than watch this video. It's also in charge of how much information enters your brain. And if you're on the autistic spectrum or you have trauma, it actually lets in extra information because it doesn't know what you're going to need to be safe. And that extra information can become very overwhelming very quickly. In fact, it makes all your senses stronger, so things are brighter and louder and they feel weird in your mouth and your clothes feel weird and get very stressful. And the other reason it can get very stressful is that all the information that enters our brain goes immediately to our fear center, which is the next part of our hand brain, which is our thumb. The fear center, also known as the limbic system, is in charge of three very important things that I like to remember through the word FAR. It's in charge of felt safety, attachment, and regulation. And it likes things to happen in that order, in fact. So when the information comes into the brain, it immediately goes to the fear center and decides safe or not safe. And if it's not safe, it keeps our thinking brain offline. But if it is safe, it lets the next part of our brain, our cortexes, our thinking brain, come online and give it a hug. But when it's not safe, throws it offline. So when you're not feeling safe, it doesn't allow you to attach and work cooperatively with others. And when you can't attach and work cooperatively with others, it also doesn't allow you to regulate. And you can look like you're out of control. And it might look like a choice, but when your fear center's in charge, it's not a choice, because what it has thrown offline is your thinking brain, which wraps around the fear center and has all those wonderful thoughts and all those wonderful things we've practiced doing housed in it. But when the fear center gets afraid, throws it right offline. And the only part of our brain we have conscious control over is our thinking brain. So when our fear center throws it offline, all of those thoughts we're so proud of and that we've worked so hard on to help us control our behavior, they are out of our reach. And if the fear center can't tell, should I be afraid or not afraid, it always errs on the side of fear to keep you alive. So we want to find a way to get a message from the thinking brain to the fear center so they can work together when we're afraid. And we're going to look at how to do that. So our vagus nerve and our brainstem think in sensations and feelings. Our fear center, our limbic system, thinks in feelings and pictures. And our thinking brain thinks in pictures and words. So you may have guessed it, the passport from the fear center to the thinking brain are the pictures. When we can create a picture for what we want, we have a better chance of getting a message to that thinking brain, bringing it back online so it can hug our fear center and help us feel safe again.
All right. So,
hi, I'm Mary Vicario, and it's been my joy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to keep my headphones off. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Maybe a thumbs up from you, Smita, if I can see you. You're okay with, okay. So what's anything you want to share in the chat? We're going to go through that together, just really using our own hand and our own arm, and just go through a few slides to reinforce what Mary just shared. But is there anything that you're thinking about as you watch that? Maybe it's not the first time, maybe it is. What is it that has got you thinking when you think about what Mary has shared? Yes, Maria.
Thank you. I didn't think so much about myself, but I thought about so many students, people in our community that carry so much fear, and they're just operating like a large percent of the time, I think, in their fear center. And that's who we're dealing with in schools.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So much. Thank you. And there's a lot coming in on the chat. I don't know, Smita, if you would mind reading some of those.
Absolutely. So our participants have shared that they're surprised by the trauma response, that in the video they love the way that fear is described and how strong it is. And, a staff member shared that they never thought all of their anxiety and stress in that type of way, which I definitely agree with that too. I felt the exact same way.
Thank you. And that connection with trauma and autism, how those two kinds of things might be operating in students or staff that we are all experiencing some level of trauma after the pandemic, when lots of loss and change. So I really appreciate her explanation. I want to just run through some of those slides just one more time. You'll receive all of the slides and the link to the video. So you'll get a chance, and I'll tell you what, I have really needed to watch this over and over again, because it takes a while. I didn't know it until a few years ago. I didn't know any of this. And it's been such a relief to understand my own reactions and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And like, oh, I can't actually talk right now. I need to take care of myself, take a walk around the house, go for a walk in the neighborhood, pet my dog. Those are really soothing things for me. And so really understanding that has been life-changing. So here we go. And I love this under construction thing around our brain, because it's the truth. All right. So please speak up, Smita, if anybody has any questions, please interrupt me, feel free. I'm going to move through these fairly quickly, but you can start with me. And Mary really started with the vagus nerve, how it wraps around every organ in the body. It sends feelings and sensations to the body and all the organs and up to the brain, and controls our social engagement system. So when it's out of alignment, when we're triggered, when we're upset, we aren't able to engage. And this, the color is the code. The color code matches the side of the slide where the words are, and so it describes the location of where that is. The lower brain and the brainstem. So again, up a little bit further and closer into the palm of the hand, the breathing, those natural automatic things, heart rate, blood pressure, sleeping and breathing still, your bladder and bowel control. It lets information into the brain. It's sensory based. It communicates through the body sensations. So really, really clear. And it's so fun to be able to have this portable little brain that you can see and look at and remind yourself about how our brains are operating. Our fear centers. I loved how this is our survival brain. It really is telling us, am I safe or unsafe? Is this okay? That's the very first thing that's happening. It sets off the survival response and we all have one that we might go to naturally, a fight, freeze, or a flee. And she's added flock and faint or submit. So there has been development in our reactions, our responses. Survival responses they have seen an expansion of the types of responses that we have when we feel we're in survival mode, which, as one of you mentioned, many of our students are, and many of us have found ourselves in. We don't have conscious control over this activation, and it needs the solution, the resolution to getting that brain back online is that felt safety, attachment, and regulation. And again, it communicates through sensations and pictures. The cortex. So this is our thinking part, our planning, our creative part, our problem solving. This is where the language is. So if it's offline, there is no talking or communicating or reasoning with someone whose lid is really flipped. It assists with empathy and compassion. So it helps us be able to listen and understand and actually hear someone. And it's not fully formed until we're in our mid-30s, which, wow, I have young people in my life that are in their 20s. And I was sort of hoping it was done by 23, but yeah, that's not happening. So that's amazing that it takes a long time for us to develop these skills and develop our brain. And it communicates through pictures and words. There's so much here and we're running through it, but don't worry, you'll get these slides and maybe this is the first time you've heard it, but maybe it'll be the first of many. So flipping our lids. So this is when the cortex is actually the prefrontal cortex is completely offline. That's where our connection to our limbic regions is, and when it touches that down there, it's actually where it settles our limbic regions of our brain. So when we're experiencing big emotions or stressful situations, we can flip our lid, and our fear center takes total control. It's trying to help us survive. It's really, really on our behalf, trying to help us. And our thinking brain is just not at all available. So we're in sensory overload when that happens. We might experience emotional roller coaster, feel out of control, not aware of what we do and say, and also may not even know what to do. So many of these things I'm sure you have seen or heard in your work or families. I know I have. And it repeatedly, as it gets, if it's the muscle that gets activated, if it's the one that gets practiced as our only thing that we're able to do, it will get repeated activation if we're not able to also structure and strengthen the muscles of bringing our cortex back online. So in order for this to happen, in order for our thinking brains to be online, we need that sense of felt safety, comfortable, relaxed. Maybe it's one other adult, safe adult saying, how can I help you? Can you talk to me about what's happening for you? Can I just sit with you? We need that safe connection, someone who we can build and maintain trust with, which many of you talked about with regard to healthy and safe relationships, how important that was. Trust, respect, and stability. Those are all really important for our brain to feel so that we can access that language part and reason, decision making. We talk a lot about in conflict resolution, how do we access the decision making and improve those skills? And this is one important piece to knowing and understanding, where are we? Are we in our fear center, or are we able to even connect and have those safe, healthy relationships with someone else? Excellent. So I'd love to just have a bit of reflection here around how could understanding more about our brains work that help you in your day-to-day interactions. So anyone want to offer, either unmute yourself or drop in the chat, how could understanding more about this work and about how our brains operate help you in your day-to-day interactions? Anyone at all? Love to hear from you. And if you've got anything you'd like to drop in the chat, and any questions too, anything at all that I may or may not be able to answer, but really, really appreciate any kinds of thinking that's happening for you as you take this in.
How do I raise my hand? I wasn't good.
Maria, are you giving us some I love the hands.
I had changed the skin color. Did you see that? That's the first time I figured that out.
I love it.
I didn't want to monopolize, but I think some of us judge ourselves harshly, and other ones of us judge others harshly. And for me, the answer to that question is it helps with the judgment of self and others. Oops, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
I love that. I heard it loud and clear. That was beautiful. It helps with the judgment of self and others. Absolutely. It's like bringing understanding. I can soothe and be like a little more compassionate with my own, like, I was just afraid. Wow, I have really sensed that a lot. Or maybe that student in front of me was just so afraid. And some of you have dropped that into the chat as well, thinking that maybe fear is causing a lot of undesired behaviors. And it helps us to stop and possibly retrain our responses. I love it. So thank you so much for all of your feedback. Anyone else? And I'm going to drop another question in here. Allows me to know that our responses can be retrained. Absolutely, 100%. Would this information be helpful for young people to understand, to support them to ask for help? Is that something that you think might be helpful to young people in your life? And other trusting adults, absolutely, yes. Great. Excellent. Yes. It would be so nice to just have a room where we could all talk about this, like, and, you know, and have someone to remind ourselves, like, oh, wow, I am not online. I am totally flipped here. Can I take a break? It would be beautiful to have rooms where we can take breaks, to have outdoor time. I don't know, all the way, like for adults, all the way across the board to children. Yeah, I'm hearing lots of yeses. Excellent. So glad to hear this. Yes, multi-generational relationships for sure. And does this information change how you feel about conflicts you've experienced or witnessed? So it certainly did that for me. And I wonder, and I think maybe Maria and others, you were actually already pointing to that, how it makes you think and reframe some of the behavior you've seen in the relationships that you've had. I love that. Well, you're going to get all these slides. Absolutely makes you more aware. I love it. And I need to, again, there are so many good videos out there. I highly encourage you to find ones that work for you. Keep listening, keep looking at these. It has taken me absolutely years to really get it into my body and understand it so I could bring some compassion, like you guys already shared about those judgments that I had for myself and others. All right, so I'm going to move ahead, and I'd love to end on a bit of a, this is a very simple and clear way of connecting with others that I wanted to share with you. And this is from Mary Vicario, who you saw on the video, Finding Hope Consulting. And she is the trainer that I have spent many, many hours with around trauma and trauma training and resilience. She's in charge of the Resilience Project. And reflect, honor, and connect. So we are going to go through slides, and then I'm going to drop these into the chat box so that you can take them with you into a very short breakout room where I'd love you to just practice, reflect, honor, and connect. So reflect back to them, back to someone, that what you heard or what they're showing you with their behavior or their actions with compassion. So being able to just see what's in front of you and acknowledge what someone is coming to you with. Honor their courage for sharing. So honoring what they've shared with you. And we'll give you some examples here in a moment. And then connect them with the supports. So maybe that's something you can do, or maybe it's something that is needed from another resource. So maybe something else that you can connect them to. So reflect back with compassion what you heard. And some examples of that are, I can see you're upset. I hear you saying that you feel disrespected by how they approached you to discuss this matter. Or, okay, it seems like you're dealing with a lot. Just acknowledging what you heard. You could even say back the words that you heard. And in a minute, I'm going to have Smita maybe do a little demo with me about a time when she didn't feel heard before we break out into groups. Honor. So thank them for sharing or highlight their courage to share. It's hard to come to each other with something that we're having trouble with, or maybe even we want to share something that's really exciting, like what we shared with in the beginning of, like, my anniversary is coming up and I just want to share that with someone. This kind of reflect, honor, and connect builds healthy relationships. It builds trust. It builds respect. This is the skill we want so that we can take it into our day-to-day lives, slow down and slow those conversations down. So an example of honoring might be, thank you for sharing what you did with me. Thank you for sharing your feelings. I know it can be challenging or difficult to talk about something that is painful. Or I appreciate you letting me know how hard this is, or how hard it is for you right now. Something like that. So you'll be role playing with your partner in your breakout room. And then connect with them. So connect with them with safety, with supports. What would they like the future to look like? Even just acknowledging, I appreciate you knowing, so that I have this knowledge. If I'm your coworker, if I work with you closely, or maybe if you're my student and I'm the teacher, or I'm wondering if there's something I can do to support you right now. So really asking the question and putting that back to them and saying, showing them that there's this connection that you want to make with them. So I'd love to do a short demo with Smita before we spend just a very short amount of time in breakout rooms and then come back together to close our time together. So Smita, I wonder if you would take a moment and just think of a time when you did not feel heard or valued. And I'm going to back up my slides and move through reflect, honor, and connect with you.
All right.
You'd be willing to do that?
Yeah, I'd say why not? Let's do it. So, if I can think of a time when I have not felt heard or valued, I would think of a time perhaps in a previous relationship, where I would voice my concerns and my needs, um, and it was met with maybe um, someone being defensive or not hearing me, not listening, and going against my wishes. And in those moments, I have felt very frustrated and not seen and heard. And that's something that I really value. And it has been really hurtful and devastating to not feel valued in that way.
Mm. Yeah, so it sounds like it was really challenging relationship and that you just had a really difficult time feeling heard and like what you were saying mattered. Does that kind of get it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's just reflecting what I could get out of that, what I could get from what she was sharing. And then I check with her to make sure that, did I get that? Was that what you were hoping I got? And then honoring that. So even if maybe Smita might want to share a little bit more, and then I might pause and then honor that. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate knowing that you were in that struggling, you were in that struggle for a while. That helps me to know, and just to then also connect with her and saying that appreciation, or maybe asking if there's any support that you might need. So, and it might also just be, again, appreciating and understanding and know that I know that how you were doing, or that I know that you're safe now, or that you're in a place that you feel more in alignment with your relationship. So just a simple, not making it too difficult, a simple practice of really notice how I stayed quiet. I didn't try and fix or resolve anything, and just listening, then reflecting, honor that what she said, and then connect in some way. So I wonder if each of you could take out just a minute to think of a time when you didn't feel heard or valued, or perhaps it's an event that happened recently that you'd really like to share with someone, just to share something that happened for you that was upsetting, or not on a scale of 1 to 10, like that to be on more of a 1 to 3 time area. So not something that's really intense for you. So think of something. And then we're going to move into breakout groups. And I'd like to go back to that one. I'll drop these into the breakout, into the chat box before you move into them. But introduce yourself to this person that you'll be in the breakout room with. Maybe it's someone you know, maybe it's a new person from a different building or a different location. It's an opportunity to connect with someone that you may learn something about. Choose who will speak first and who will listen, and then monitor your time for your group. So it's going to be a very short amount of time, probably about 8 minutes. So for 4 minutes per person. And then just do what you observed I was doing, with just practicing active listening, trying not to interrupt or fix or advise. And then move through the reflect, honor, and connect. And I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen here shortly, and then I'll drop all that in the chat box for you. And so this will all go in the chat box, but it's just a very simple, Smita took a turn, and then I reflected, honored, and connected. And then it would be my turn to share, and then she would do that for me. Are there any questions? And Smita, I don't know if you'd be willing to do breakout rooms for me. Any questions at all? I am going to drop those into the...
Janine, do you have a preference on how many breakout rooms we have? Are we okay with 5 of them?
Well, I would like 2 people in each room, so it will be more than that.
Okay.
And I'm putting in the breakout rooms right now. just the steps of first speaker, second speaker, reflect, honor, and connect. And then I'll drop in there.
So 10 rooms.
Okay.
Does that work?
Should be at least 10 rooms or maybe a little bit more. If you're in with more than 2 people, then go ahead and just choose 2 people that want to share and split that time in half.
All right. So
Let me give you.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to put the breakout room guidelines. These will all follow you into your breakout room. So we'll have all of this for you. The directions, the guidelines. Any other questions before we move into there? Just for a brief moment, and we'll come back and close.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and create them. So we'll see you back very soon.
I'm sorry, I'm in multiple ones, so I didn't want to. Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you back soon. 8 minutes. This works. And if you need any help choosing or accepting the breakout room or joining.
Janine, I hope I did that right. I've never assigned them before.
Looks like everyone's able to go to where they need to go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing that. I didn't really actually ask you about that.
No worries.
I am happy to help Sabrina or Warren. I'm not sure where they go.
Nice to see you in. And then did you need me to join one? I'm happy to.
Let's see if we can move Tammy to one. I don't know if Tammy has been with us already or is joining later.
Yep, I'll assign.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened. I got kicked out, but I'm back.
Okay, Tammy, we'll get you in a room. Let me see. I will put her in room 5 with Tyronda. Give this a
Okay.
try.